1965, I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none. Yeah, my name is Jasmine Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
A pleasant good evening. Welcome to the show, Mark Benchcup. Please don't try to adjust your screen. It is not by accident. My name is Christopher Jones, and I'm the guest host for tonight's show. And of course, this program is being streamed live on 107.1 FM. We would like to thank Mr. Mark Benchcup for the opportunity for us to speak with you, those in the diaspora, and of course, those of you right here in Guyana. As I mentioned before, my name is Christopher Jones, and all tonight we will be discussing the local government elections, which are going to be had on Monday, the 12th of June here in Guyana. Throughout tonight's proceedings, I will be joined by colleagues representing Region Number 1, Mr. Ronald Cox, Region Number 6, Mr. Javon Stephen, in Georgetown, and Region 3, Ganesh Mahipal, Amanza Walton Desir, the one and only Mr. Randolph Critchlow, and of course, Annette Ferguson. We are also expected to be joined by Natasha Singh Lewis and Mr. Dineshwar Jaiprashad, and of course, the General Secretary of the PNCR, Ms. Dawn Hastings. As mentioned before, on Monday, the 12th of June, is local government elections in Guyana. And throughout the past month, representatives of the APNU have been throughout the length and breadth of Guyana, championing the cause for the candidates of the APNU. As mentioned, the People's Progressive Party Civic has their eyes on Georgetown, Linden, and New Amsterdam. It is no secret. The PPP suddenly discovered communities within these municipalities that have never seen the People's Progressive Party Civic before. We said to the voters who will be voting on Monday that this is not by accident. It is not a case that the People's Progressive Party Civic suddenly woke up one day and fell in love with the people of these municipalities. It is about economics. The PPP recognized that Guyana, which is an oil-producing country. And of course, you have thousands of people who will be traveling to these shores. And of course, accommodation, housing, apartment building, etc., need to be had. And of course, people want to live in the capital cities, Georgetown, New Amsterdam, and Linden. The People's Progressive Party Civic has a plot. If you make the mistake and you vote for the People's Progressive Party Civic, in these municipalities, Georgetown, New Amsterdam, Linden, and Bartica, just to name a few, is that you are running the risk of the People's Progressive Party Civic increasing rates and taxes on you, which would allow them to foreclose on your property and seize them. We said to the folks there in Albaistong at Pond Trench and the folks there at Lane Avenue, The roads recently constructed a mere 8 days before the local government elections is not by accident. It is to win your heart just for this period. And of course, if you run the risk, as we mentioned before, of giving them your vote, you run the risk of losing your home. Bharat Jagdeo, Vice President of Guyana, just recently, on one of his press conferences, spoke about creating this new Guyana, bringing Guyana as a first class country. One such way in which they can do this is that places, what we call or we dub ghetto community, those communities will have to be removed. Such places like Lane Avenue, East and West Rhine Belt, Back Circle, Front Circle, Warlock Alley, just to name a few. It so happens that the APNU supporters reside in these municipalities. It is not by accident that you have the 4-lane highway that is stretching through Mandela Avenue and the back road, which means that if your property valued 3 years ago $15 million, as a result of that infrastructure that is now there, your property has now tripled. The People's Progressive Party Civic recognize this. And of course, their financiers and people who are waiting to purchase many of those properties. We said to people, take, for example, your relative that lives in the United States, many of which don't live in Manhattan, many of which don't live in Long Island because of the taxes that it costs to live there. We would find that most of our relatives reside either in Queens, Bronx, or Brooklyn, just to name a few. It is the same thing that is about to be had in Guyana. The People's Progressive Party Civic has a plot, and that plot is to win these municipalities to dispossess you of your land, your property, by increasing the rates and taxes. I said a few nights ago on one of the platforms that I spoke that it was the APNU councillors of the Georgetown municipality that instituted an amnesty period, which allowed many citizens a period in which the interest was removed and allowed them just to pay their rates and taxes. That amnesty period allowed many citizens in the municipality to remain in their homes. By law, the municipality has every right to foreclose on your property. That is exactly the route in which the People's Progressive Party Civic intends to move. You have that vote. And on Monday, the 12th of June, you are not only voting for yourself, but you are voting to preserve the future and the rights of your children and grandchildren to come to live in the municipality of Georgetown, New Amsterdam, and Linden. Welcome to the program. I'll first invite my two guests who are backstage, Ms. Annette Ferguson, former Minister of Housing, and of course, Mr. Randolph Critchlow, who is no stranger to these broadcasts. Randolph, Annette Ferguson, good evening to you. Let's discuss.
A pleasant evening to you, Chris. I'm happy to be here and also to share the platform with my brother and colleague, Randolph Critchlow. A pleasant evening, and also to our wonderful viewers here across the social media spectrum.
Good evening, Chris, MPs both, and the listening public out there. Those persons who are listening to us on 107.1 FM, we bid you good night also. Thank you for having me in the program, Chris.
Well, I said, but you know, Randy, you are one of the candidates for these local government elections, and you have been no stranger to the hustings of the country. What has been the response on the ground as you've been moving around? I saw you spoke just last night in Seafield Sapphire, for example. Share with us what is happening on the ground.
Yeah. What I will say, Chris, is that we might sometimes think that people don't know what is happening, but the citizens of Georgetown are well informed. They understand the issues. They understand the trickery that is being employed by the PPP, and they're well.
All right, Randy seems to have a streaming problem. Annette Ferguson, you can pick it up from there, and we'll join back Randy. Okay, he's back.
Hello.
Go ahead, Randy.
Are we there? Right.
Yes, you
are. Have been happening on the council and some of the things to look out for as we gear up for local government elections. They are telling you, yes, we know, sir, we know, council, we know that these are the things that are happening. But we want to say, Chris, we want to ensure that the public understands that we are on the ground, we are working, we're in communities. And I know, and let me say this right off the bat, I listened to Comrade Vincent Alexander, on a program the other night, and he was asked about flags and why is it that the APNU doesn't have flags. And his response was, "Who got money got bargain," and the absence of flags does not mean that work is not being done in the communities, and the groundwork is not being done so that our people understand the issues and they understand where they need to vote come June 12th.
Excellent. Annette, now you've been concentrating your attention, well, not only in constituency 13, of which I would consider perhaps ground zero, because there's a whole groundswell with the young lady that jumped ship. We never knew that she was a ship jumper. But what has been your experience working in the constituency 13?
Okay, thank you very much, Chris, for your question. Even before I give a response to the question, allow me briefly to describe Constituency 13. Constituency 13 is boundaried west of Hunter Street, north of Ling Avenue, Taula Dam, south of Mandela Avenue, and east of Mandela Avenue. So that's where Constituency 13 lies. So you'll find West and East Rumveld, also Ling Avenue and Taula Dam in that particular constituency. You're absolutely correct. Constituency 13 has now become a main target or a main thoroughfare for the People's Progressive Party Civic. And I guess, we all know why. The sitting councillor who presented Tricia Richards, she's now a candidate for the People's Progressive Party Civic for these upcoming elections. And just this afternoon, like other afternoons, I have been spending my time in that constituency. So this afternoon, I concentrated my efforts, myself and team, we concentrated our efforts on Ling Avenue. So we began from Cemetery Road, and we ended just the second block on Ling Avenue. And I can tell you this, every person I touched, every individual I engaged, every home I visited this afternoon, everyone has said to me, "Miss Ferguson, we know what's going on. Money can't buy us. APNU all the way." And the very people who were aligned with the PNC APNU, who were strong for the coalition, it is the very people who are us, because we are fearful of the People's Progressive Party Civic getting any traction, whether in constituency 13 or Georgetown, to be Pacific. So, like Randy, we have been doing the groundwork. We have been educating our people why they should vote, why they should not vote People's Progressive Party Civic, and why they should vote APNU. I mean, on the ground also, they cry about the coalition did absolutely nothing. And I reason the people like this. Look, you had the People's Progressive Party Civic for 23 years.
No,
23
26.
years.
No,
Well,
26.
well, all right. I would want to say the first 23 years because
Okay.
of this reason. 23 years they governed this nation for. And what they were spending actually monies from the traditional resources, whether it's timber, whether it's gold, whether it's bauxite, whether it's sugar, whatever the case may be. But they would have failed us, whether at the local level and also in many of our communities, we had derelict infrastructure. When the coalition came into government, the very monies we got from our traditional resources, and in less than 3 years, Chris, we were able to use the monies, whether from sugar, bauxite, gold, diamond, timber, agriculture. Those monies were able to use to pay increase in salaries. Those monies were able to improve infrastructure. Those monies were able to utilize to ensure that our communities were well equipped with safety measures, whether it's CCTV cameras, so that our communities could have been safe communities. Now you have the PPPC with oil money, right? Oil money that we didn't have while we were in government. Look what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
Splurging it, spending it, separating communities, because the concern from residents in East Lane Avenue, West Rumfeld, the signing we up for 250,000 cash grant. One gentleman said to me yesterday, why is it that they're dividing us? One said this afternoon at the bread stand, look, why is it that everybody can get this 250,000? They are bringing more division than unity in this particular constituency. So
Let me jump. Yeah, go ahead, finish it.
yeah,
Go ahead
yeah.
and finish.
So I will end off by saying here is that the people are wise, the people are sensible, the people are intelligent, and they know exactly who they will be voting for come Monday, June 12th at the local government polls.
All right, good. So I want to pick you up right there in terms of the oil resources. In fact, we could probably start off with Randy, and then we could go back to you, Annette. So I'm actually reading, and we are not aware if the residents, particularly in Georgetown, and then when we join by the comrades from New Amsterdam, we'll deal with what is happening in New Amsterdam. But particularly Georgetown, you have this note from Vice President Barrett Jaglio, in which he states about moving Ghana to this first world country. And of course, they're speaking about the beautification of Georgetown. Now, are you of the opinion, either of you are of the opinion, that the residents that reside in Georgetown, and I want to single out particularly those in Albaistown, Tiger Bay, Lane Avenue, those persons who, well, I don't know if they have been regularized, but they are squatting on the front road embankment all the way to, well, front road embankment, which is west from Velt, east from Velt, all the way to Tocqueville, all the way down to Guy Hawk Park. All of these people that are on those reserves. Are you aware if these persons are aware that the beautification that the People's Progressive Party Civic is speaking about means the dismantling or the bulldozing or the removal of all of those people who are squatting on the front road embankment all the way to Guy Hawk Park as part of the People's Progressive Party civic beautification? Now they may quick to jump and say that, oh, it's not the case, we're not going to bulldoze anybody. But we have references to make. Like, for example, what we saw happen in Caneview, in Mocha Village. And just a few days ago, we saw the same so-called Karen People's Progressive Party civic, once again, bulldozing people's houses at Foothill or Hillfoot. Now, are you of the opinion sufficiently that those residents in East and West Rumbelt that are on the reserve, the front road reserve, that are squatting there, as well as those in Tocqueville all the way to Guy Hawk Park, are they aware that the beautification that Vice President Barrett Jaglio is speaking about to bring Ghana as a first-class country means the bulldozing and the removal of all of them from those locations?
Let me say
Margaret.
this.
Oh, sorry.
Let me just jump in quickly because I want to address a few things on that. And I want to acknowledge that there are consequences to development. And we must acknowledge that. There are going to be people who will be removed if development is going to happen. The problem that I have, and I think we have with the approach of the PPP, is the lack of vision, the lack of organization, and the inhumane treatment of people when those removals are done. Because at the end of the day, you have a responsibility as a government to relocate people in a humane and an organized manner and give people enough time so that they can organize themselves for that eventual removal. Now, we can't run from the fact that development, even under the APNU, AFC, would have taken place and people had to be relocated. But if I can remember the case where we had removed persons, and we and former minister can talk about it too. When we had relocated those persons and helped them with whole houses in collaboration with Food for the Poor, I believe, or
Broad Street.
yes, those people. So it is incumbent on the government to ensure that when these things are being done, that they are done in a manner that is not harmful to the people. What we are saying is that the PPP does not have a good track record when it comes to this. And Chris would have mentioned it. And so when you hear these talks about moving the country into this first world and this beautification, you have to ask questions about the way that you have treated those people before. Whether you have flooded the cane fields, whether you have bulldozed people's houses as you are in negotiations with them to move at the same time, right? Or it's just that you don't care and you've allowed private investors to do whatever they want with citizens. I will say this: we have to call them out on that, and we have to ensure that people understand that this is their modus operandi, and these things will happen to them.
Exactly.
People will not get tomorrow and just change their behavior. If they have the hands on the city, these are the treatment that these people will go through. These are the treatments they will continue to perpetuate on the people. Now, I will say, as I finish on this point, that we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility as the opposition to inform the people that, look, we are the people, the government, to ensure that we take care of you. And there are examples in the past of us doing that. And so when we go to these people, those persons there who may have, after all of these years, gotten what we call prescriptive rights to land or whatever, but they have rights as Guyanese citizens to be treated properly. And the PPP has shown us that they do not care about treating you properly. And so, development or not, it is how the people, what they show you is not what they say, and they will continue to do that. And I like the point, Chris. I think it's very important for our citizens of Georgetown to understand. Even recently, when they had to remove vendors, look at the treatment. Look at the treatment. So I agree with you. I agree with the point, but I also want to ensure people understand that, look, we are not saying, we are not against any development, but the way you treat people is very important. And this government, this PPP government, has proven to us that they have a very poor track record in terms of dealing with these matters.
Well, I would even want to go a bit further, Randy, and for me, you sort of hold back a bit, but it is not the treatment, but it's the manner in which the People's Progressive Party, Civic, treat certain communities as opposed to certain. You mentioned, for example, the vendors, and this is particularly the vendors outside of the Georgetown Public Hospital, of which we see heavily armed policemen, bulldozer trucks, and canters, and they were removing them. Just a few days after that, you had the vendors at the Monrepo market, of which the parliament has allocated millions of dollars for the reconstruction of the Monrepo market. But because of the size of the stalls that were being built, they protested, they ripped out boards, they did all manner of things. Not a single person was arrested by the police. The very next day, the minister with responsibility for local government call all of those vendors to a meeting in a boardroom with air condition, and you had nice orange juice and you had discussions, and exactly what those vendors of the Monrepo market wanted, they got. But when it came to the vendors at the Georgetown Public Hospital, was a completely different treatment. Bulldozers, police with gun and full riot gear. I asked the operator to put on screen a photograph, and I want to quickly remind all on sundry of what took place in the village of Mocha. Now, if you note there is those houses that you see, we have that red line around them. What is happening right now is that those houses are in the direct path of the very same road that just recently you had the government removing the folks on Caneville. The entire road construction has since halted. Why this has halted? Because the government is currently in discussion with those residents there as to their relocation, their compensation, and so forth. But when it came to the residents in Caneville, in the village of Mocha Arcadia, we saw on live television heavily armed policemen, bulldozers, bulldozing the people's property, and then they went back there and they buried the people's livestock alive. That is the manner in which the People's Progressive Party Civic treats certain community as opposed others, and that is the reality.
And Chris,
So when it comes to,
you know what's
go ahead.
interesting? You know what's interesting? This is the same party that will send their people into Mocha to tell the people of Mocha to vote for them.
That's right. That's right. You know, so that is the situation we have, and that is why when we speak and we illustrate to all and sundry, particularly those in Georgetown, those who reside in South Georgetown, North South, Festival City, Lane Avenue, Albaistown, West and East Rhineville, is that essentially, as Jagdeo said, they want to turn Ghana into a first world country. Nobody will object to that. But the beautification that they speak of does not include those persons who are currently squatting on the East and West Rumvelt Front Road, those in Tocqueville all the way to Guy Hawk Park. And similarly, as demonstrated by the People's Progressive Party Civic, when it comes time for them to remove you, they will do with you just how they dealt with the people in the village of Mocha and the residents there at Hillfoot on the Linden Suzac Highway. I'd like to quickly acknowledge the General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform, Member of Parliament, Ms. Dawn Hastings, has joined us, albeit without video. So I'll quickly invite Dawn Hastings, who is working with the campaign team in the village, well, in the region of the Cayuni-Mazaruni region, particularly in the municipality of Bartica. Dawn, good evening to you.
Good evening, Christopher Jones. Good evening to you and your guests and my colleagues and Critchlow. Thank you for having me tonight. And sorry.
Most welcome. That's right. So just share with us what is happening on the campaign trail there in Bartica. What has been the response, APNU versus the People's Progressive Party Civic?
Okay, well, first of all, Bartica is our own. Bartica belongs to the Barticians or the Barticans, and we all know by now that we are not ready to give it up for anything or for nothing at all. And so the campaign had begun with our candidates. We are competing in the 9 constituencies, and our candidates are of mixed abilities, mix of youth, competence, intelligence, and experience. And so we are ready to take Bartica in these local government elections. A lot of sensitization had begun for some time now, and they are winding up having their public meetings, continue going out to educate voters on how to vote and where to place their X, to vote like a boss and to vote like a champion. So work is still ongoing in the municipality of Bartica. And like I said, we are contesting in 9 constituents.
Excellent. All right, and just a quick reminder, and we are joined by Member of Parliament Amanza Walton Desir. And just a quick refresher too, it was the APNU, while in government, that reintroduced local government elections, because the People's Progressive Party Civic, which had been in office at that time for 23 years, had only had 1 local government election in 1994 and didn't for throughout the entire period. And you had a local government minister who sat in Kingston and direct the show, putting in place many IMCs. It was under the APNU government that you had 2 successive local government elections being had, 2016 and 2018. It was the APNU government that brought those townships to municipality status. Bartica, Lethem, Madia, just to name a few. Amanza Walton Desir, give us your take on that. You're muted, you're muted. You're still muted.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we are. Go ahead.
Awesome. Good night, guys. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Look, I think we have established that the PPPC has no interest in local government. It's a big show and a flam, and you know this because I was like, well, we just got in from the Namstel. We were over at the Namstel, huge turnout. Shout out to the people at the Namstel, and they're up and ready for June 12th. But back to the issue of local government. When you travel across the length and breadth of Guyana and you're to examine the meetings that are being had, you'll realize that the majority of the PPPC's meetings, they've had to import um, people from outside of the communities to speak. The candidates are not speaking, so you can't get a sense of what the candidates' plans are for their respective um, jurisdiction, for their respective community. And that really is the spirit of local governance,
Mhm.
that the
Mhm.
people from the community, of the community, by the community, decide that they will determine the direction of the community. And so the fact that you have candidates that are unable to stand up and to speak about their plans for their communities tells you a couple of things. The first one is that the PPP has clearly decided they will put in place people who will advance the PPP's central agenda and not necessarily the agenda to better the community.
Mhm.
It also tells you that they are putting in place people that they can control. You know, they're
Yeah.
putting in place people in their control. Now, I want us to contrast that with the APNU's attitude to um to local government. For example, in the Namstel is a village that is 100 and something years old. That entire area there, the residents got together and they said, you know what? We are going to contest as a neighborhood development authority. And they approached us because they are an APNU stronghold. And we said, it is local government, you, the residents, you get together and you decide how you wish to contest. And if this is
Mhm.
how you wish to contest, we will respect that and we will lend support. So myself, Ganesh Mai Paul, Natasha Singh Lewis, we were all there tonight supporting them because that is the spirit of local government. You
Mhm.
contrast the PPP, everything is centralized.
Yeah.
Everything is centralized. And so immediately, if you look beyond the show, you can see that there is no true intention to operate in the spirit of local government. They will
Mhm.
dictate, they will impose, and they will do what they want. And that is also reflected in the fact that for 20 something years, they did not hold local government elections, but put in place IMCs that they centrally controlled.
Mm, exactly. And the group that Amanza Walton Desir is speaking about that is contesting the local government elections for the NAMSTEL is the Hague Blankenberg Development Association. And their symbol happens to be the light bulb. So those of you in the NAMSTEL, when you go out to vote on Monday, the 12th of June at the local government elections, you are looking for the Hague Blankenberg Development Association. And their symbol is the light bulb. All right. So colleagues, quickly, we mentioned the fact that the People's Progressive Party Civic, which is true, does nothing unless they stand to benefit. The People's Progressive Party Civic will negotiate with no one unless the People's Progressive Party Civic can win. When it comes to the municipality of Georgetown, New Amsterdam, and Linden, like for example, I said to folks at the public meeting, when it comes to New Amsterdam, for example, Shore Base, which is part of the oil and gas industry operation, is now setting up shop there in New Amsterdam. So similarly, as I mentioned, what is happening in Georgetown, there are more for people to reside there, apartment buildings, you name it, and so forth. Hence, the People's Progressive Party Civic suddenly find love with New Amsterdam. Irfan Ali just returned from Brazil, and there is discussion about the road coming from Brazil. That road has to pass through a mining town called Linden. And as such, the very same economic that will come upon Linden, Georgetown, and New Amsterdam, the People's Progressive Party civic friends, family, and favorite recognize this fact. And that is why they need to get their hands on these municipalities and the way in which they will be able to get your lands, your house. Colleagues, people find it strange or at times unbelievable that no, man, the PPP never do this. And I remind them of the experience we had in the parliament when it came to the Public Accounts Committee, of which it was always chaired by the opposition. When the PPP was in opposition, it was chaired by Irfan Ali. Now we are in the opposition, it is chaired by Jeremy Figueroa. And whether or not the one side is present or absent, the business of the PAC goes on because it speaks directly about transparency and accountability in the expenditure of funds of Guyana. The People's Progressive Party Civic has since moved to the parliament, amended the laws to suit their interests, that unless you have 2 representatives from the PPP and 2 representatives from the APUNU AFC present, there is no meeting. And just last Monday, the People's Progressive Party Civic again have not turned up to the PAC meeting, which now brings the total of 17 Public Accounts Committee not being convened because of the PPP. We said to the folks here in Georgetown, if the PPP wants to increase rates and taxes with a view of dispossessing you of your property, all they will do is simply take to the parliament an amendment to the law to suit their interests, and they will take your property. Colleagues, I want you to jump in on that as well. We saw throughout these local government elections, young faces clad in red t-shirts around the city inviting people to vote for the PPP. What has induced them? Annette, you can start.
Yes. Thank you very much, Chris. I can speak specifically for Constituency 13 here in Georgetown because based on my observation and assessment of what is happening, it seems to me that Constituency 13 is, I wouldn't say fully on the threat, but the People's Progressive Party Civic is attempting to get its feet through the door in Constituency 13. And if you look at what is happening in the constituency per se, they're targeting one particular section of Constituency 13, and that is portion, not the entire of Ling Avenue, portion of Ling Avenue. Whilst there this afternoon, many of the older folks, they too shared the similar thoughts as I, is that many of these young people are being lured to money because one, whether they're being paid either at 10,000 or 15,000, perhaps given a box of food to wear a red t-shirt. Secondly, they're being promised because they had registration was done in a particular area between Friday and Saturday, where young people were actually registered, then taken to Freedom House and promised $250,000 for a startup. Thirdly, some young people were actually given their 250,000 grant to do whatever business. Some of them ain't even got business, but they
All
were
of a
given
sudden.
the 250,000 grant. So to answer your question in short, Chris, is that our
All right, we seem to have, okay.
They're being lured. A lot of work. Pardon?
No, go ahead, Annette.
Yes, so they're being lured by money. But, frankly saying, someone said to me this afternoon, I just take in the morning, but you think the PPP could get my vote? Because, Miss Ferguson, I want the money. And I can tell you this, 2 weeks ago, while in the Namstel, excuse me, while in the Namstel, I ran into a friend, a schoolmate of mine, and we had a one-on-one. She said to me, Annette, I wouldn't call name, I wouldn't identify her. She said to me, Annette, let me tell you something. The only reason I there with the PPP is because I's an opportunist. I'm telling you some friend. They can never get my vote. They can never get my vote. And she said she got it. Chris, she got what she wanted. So it is the money that is actually luring these people to the People's Progressive Party Civic. These people ain't got love for the People's Progressive Party Civic. So I will pause. I will pause here for now.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that point, Annette. Annette Ferguson. Quickly, I'd like to recognize the chairman of the People's National Congress Reform and also the member of parliament from region number 2, the Essequibo Supernam region, Mr. Sherwin Holder, has just joined us. So I would want Sherwin, Amanza, Don, or Randy to jump in on this one. Based on the point that we were just discussing with Annette as it relates to inducement of people across these municipalities. And then, of course, you have the $40,000 cash grant that all of a sudden, 6 days or 7 days before local government elections, the government is suddenly disbursing. Is it a continuation of the People's Progressive Party Civic disrespect to the intelligence of the Guyanese people? Amanza, you start.
I actually want to pick up where Annette left off because she mentioned something very significant, that they were targeting certain parts of Laying Avenue. And it's not coincidental. If you look at the parts that they're targeting, that they're heavily infiltrating, it is prime land for their friends and their family. This is not, look, this is not because they have love. And so all of those monies that they're expending, it's because you see that particular location that Annette is talking about, they want it. It is connected all the way down to the waterfront. And understand that when you control the municipality has wide and sweeping powers to repossess your property, to execute on your property under the laws. And so I've been saying everywhere that I go, what they try to do is to take influencers, to influence the young people in the community. But when you look at it, it is only the life of the influencer that is improved because the influencer gets crumbs, and out of the influencer's crumbs, they dole out more crumbs to their cronies around them, not realizing that they are being set up to be reeled in once they take the bait. And so you're going to hear in some parts of the city, they're going to give people a $5,000 on a t-shirt. They're not that interested in that part. You see the part that they're going in and suddenly roads doing and suddenly, they're spending money, giving business grants. Check those parts out. Those are the parts that are key real estate holdings. You see that entire West Front Road? The PPP has for years wanted to remove those people. We're not trying to fearmonger here, but these are the facts. When you travel to heavily industrialized countries, you realize that for ports and for harbors to function, there's a significant buffer zone of commercial interests around them. And so people have to understand that.
You're muted, Amanza.
Yes, this is not coincidence, it is deliberate. And so they must not get their hands on the municipalities because they will not be governing in the interests of the municipalities.
Excellent. And that falls right smack down to the comments made here by Vice President Barrett Jaglio of wanting to move the capitals, wanted to bring Ghana up to a first world country, and of course the beautification of the municipalities, Georgetown, New Amsterdam, and Linden. And specifically, as you mentioned, if you want to beautify the capital city, then therefore what we have, quote unquote, you call the ghetto areas, or squatters and so forth, those are their number one target. We said to the folks in Sophia just last evening that there is a massive 4-lane road that is going to be running aback of Sophia, and it's going to be exiting at Ogle. So therefore, if the property value for the houses there in Sophia, like the ones in central Georgetown, 3 years ago, those property were valued at $15 million. 3 years after, Guyana is now an oil producing country. We have been dubbed the Dubai of the Caribbean. Therefore, these properties have now tripled. And I said to folks in Lane Avenue and those in West and East Rumveld, particularly Back Circle and Warlock Alley, places that I'm familiar with, is that literally when they leave their homes, in 10 seconds, you are on a major highway. In the United States, if you live in any community in which in 15 seconds you are on a highway, the taxes that you have to pay to live there is crazy. And the People's Progressive Party Civic recognize the value, as you said, the value of the properties in Georgetown and New Amsterdam. They have all tripled. And the People's Progressive Party Civic support base resides outside of Georgetown. And those big wigs with the big monies want to get their hands on many of the properties in Georgetown. Pontrench, you mark my word, Pontrench is number one target. That road runs from Vasingen Road all the way to Safan Street. Prime real estate. And as I asked one of the youngsters there, I said, where do you live? He said, here. I said, show me your transport. He said, no, my grandmother barn and grow here. My mother barn and grow here. And I barn and grow here. But he has no transport for where he lives. And I bet my bottom dollar in the city council, there are rates and taxes that is owed by that property. And that is what the PPP knows. And by law, they can foreclose and they will dispossess you of your property. Tiger Bay, always down.
Chris, because remember I said that I'd have to jump off early because we do have another 10 o'clock, just to remind. Sure. Barajagdio says they want to beautify the city. My question to him is, what prevents you from doing it now? Why is it that you need to control the municipality to beautify the city? Why not give the mayor, city council their subvention that you've been withholding from them?
Yep. And the rates and taxes.
But we bigger, we got sense. As well as a number of big businesses that are their supporters owe the municipality hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes. And they know that they want to be relieved of that. Meanwhile, the hardworking Guyanese, the taxes come out every month.
That's right.
Before you see your money. So Bartak, you know that we big and we got sense. And come June, as the people in Mokasela, we palm them out.
That's correct. All right, so I'll go.
So thanks.
Thank you very much for joining us, Samantha. I'll go quickly now to Chairman of the PNCR, Mr. Sherwin Holder, there in the Supernam region. What is happening there as it relates to local government elections? Your microphone. Your microphone. Sherwin, your microphone.
I was saying, thanks, Chris.
I hear you.
Thanks, Chris. Good night to you, my colleagues, and good night to your audience. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I was listening to your program, and there is so much similarity as it relates to what is happening in the other regions as it is in Region 2. The situation, they would have had a rally, the PPP would have had a rally here yesterday, and I was listening to one of the speakers there, basically what is happening in the other regions is exactly is what is happening here. All the 10 days workers, for example, were instructed, and I'm telling you about what I've seen with my own eyes, instructions in these WhatsApp groups that they must attend. They must attend. There is a roll call, and so they have to attend these rallies, and they have to wear red shirts. And they're particularly targeting Afro Guyanese that are employed as 10-day workers. So that is the first thing I want to mention. Amanza mentioned something there just now as well about beautifying the city. And they're already the government. They're in government, and they only want to do certain things for certain areas if you vote for them or if you give them the support. I'm saying that to make reference to a meeting the PPP had in the Pomeroon just a few days ago. After my meeting, they sent in Minister Joseph Hamilton there, and they're using him as an Afro Guyanese minister to convince Afro communities. So basically, what I've learned he said there is that look, we didn't do anything for y'all in the Pomeroon. The two NDCs there that have can win and has strong support. Y'all didn't vote for us. But now if you vote for us, then we will do something for you. So it's a bunch of promises and a clear explanation as to how the PPP operates. So this talk about one Guyana is out through the window. Only if you support the People's Progressive Party, that's the only way you're gonna get certain things. And that is what they're saying very, very clearly and bluntly in Region 2 at this point in time. They're going around promising $500,000 grants and all these sorts of things. So now I would have had a long list of people. If you walk the communities like Dartmouth, Queenstown, Good Hope, there are very few persons there that can claim that they got a grant under this PPP government. But suddenly, because it's LGE time, because it's election time, they're promising everything you're going to get at this time just to get some votes. So that is pretty much what is happening in terms of the government trying to bribe and coerce our supporters into supporting them. But I would have met, for example, I had a meeting in the Pomeroon and it was well attended. Even a few persons, the few that they had with red shirts, were there pledging support. But they're saying basically that they wanted to get whatever the government was offering because they don't do anything for them.
Right.
And so whatever they came with, they took it, but they intend to vote APNU. So that is the game basically right now, Chris. Other than that, we're on the ground. I'm in adventure this time. I was in Saudi doing some work late. So we're on the ground touching base with our people. I can say to you that the support is still there. Our party is still strong in the region. Traditionally, it is not a PNC or a no stronghold, but in the areas where we have strong support, they are intact, and there are other areas where people are saying that they are unhappy with how the government is operating, especially the rice farmers and the fisher folks are not happy with them. But they're trying to bribe them into voting.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Sherwin Holder. So, colleagues, 5 minutes to the 10 o'clock hour. I will give you an opportunity to make your pitch to those persons in the various constituencies that will be voting come local government election. But quickly, let me go straight to the mining town because I see we are joined by Member of Parliament, Mr. Jermaine Figueroa, out of the mining town of Linden. Jermaine, go ahead. What has been happening in Linden, the Linden town? Massive campaign election that is happening. How progressive is the PPP in that region or that municipality? All right. Microphone. All right. So we'll come back to Jermaine. So I'll start off with Don Hastings. Make a pitch to the people in Bartica. In fact, make a pitch to all persons who are going to be going out to vote on Monday, the 12th of June. Why should they vote for the APNU?
Thanks again, Chris. I would wish to say in closing, I would just spend a little time on the We Care cash grants. I want to remind the people that if the PPPC had really cared for the children, they would have shared the cash grants just before the school reopens for the new school year. What is the rush and why is the hurry to share the 40,000 cash grants before local government elections? And then how is it that they care? What are they going to do with the $800,000 that should have been given to the 20 students who lost their lives in Madhya? As they claim, if it was budgeted, what are they going to do with that money to show that they really care? And then I want to say that throughout the campaign mode, they have actually centralized this local government. It's like we're going into general elections. This time, it should be the opportunity for the candidates to represent themselves and to sell themselves, the local candidates, to their constituents. But what has been happening with the PPPC, you see ministers, president, vice presidents going here and there to speak to the people. You would have noticed that personally, me, even though I am responsible for Region 7, I have not spoken in many of those public meetings because I am allowing the young, the youth, the experience, the intellect, those who are vying for their constituents, we be giving them that opportunity to speak to the people, to tell them what are their plans as their representatives, because they're vying to be the representative of the constituents. But what do we see, Christopher, happening is that the central government is going into these communities, threatening these young people who they have employed as 10 days workers, that if they don't do what they are instructed to do, then they will have to leave. At the early stage in Bartica, some of our CSOs, they were sent home because they saw them campaigning and going around these communities with the campaigning team, and they were sent home. So if they're so caring and loving, I want to remind my Guyanese throughout this country, in all the municipalities and the NDCs, do not be fooled. Do not be fooled by cash grant or any other means that a PPP is offering at this time in order to get your vote for the local government. But I'm asking you to vote wisely, to vote with confidence, and to vote like a boss. Put your X near to the palm. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Don. Randy Critchlow.
Chris, as we wrap up, I want to make a point that it is important for our supporters and Guyanese in general to be more participatory. Be participants and not subjects to your local democracy, and play a part. You cannot give away your power to one party or the other centrally. You have to be empowered to make decisions in your community, whether it's on your NDCs, your CDCs, RDC, whatever it is. That was enshrined in our constitution to give the power to the people. And you cannot give that away by saying, hey, this PPP, and I say this specifically because I will zone in on something that MP Don Hastings said, that we see the need, the PPP's desire for power and control and domination. We've seen it in the past. We've seen the Minister of Local Government telling NDCs what to buy with their subventions. And so we know what will happen if they get control of some of those municipalities, the level of domination that they would want to impose upon on those local democracies. We'll see that control coming from central government, and you as citizens cannot sit by and allow that to happen. You cannot allow your power to be taken away from you. So be more participatory. Do not sit down and allow this local government elections to pass you by. It is too important. It is very, very important that you get out and vote. Encourage others to vote. Remember that, elections on the 12th, you encourage your family. You be participants. You be active. You advise people. You agitate. You advocate for what you want in your community. That's my message to all of Guyana. Let's be
Thank you.
participants in this and vote for the APNU.
Thank you very much, Randolph Critchlow. Annette Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Christopher, for having me on this program. But before I give my final comment, PPP is actually campaigning on the tagline, a new beginning for Georgetown. And we need to ask the question, what is this new beginning? What is the new beginning? Is it the new beginning to disrupt and disenfranchise persons from living a comfortable life? A new beginning for what, Chris? It is this same People's Progressive Party civic that denied you and all of our families the right to exercise our franchise 20 years by denying us local government elections for 20 years. What they gave us is 38 IMCs, interim management committees. That is what the coalition government in from them. New beginning, Chris. Look at the state of Georgetown. When the government changed, Georgetown was like a mini garden city. But now Georgetown has now returned to the state of a garbage city. And as I think two of my colleagues alluded to earlier, if you have the monies now, why not change the outlook for Georgetown? You're approaching 3 years into government. Why wait till after June 12th, 2023, Chris? What new beginning? There is no new beginning when it comes to local government for where the People's Progressive Party civic is concerned for Georgetown. You look at the alleyways, look at the clogged drains, look at the unkept parapets, look at garbage not being collected on a timely in many of you go now at the corners of Front Road and Trench Road, piles of garbage. What new beginning? So these are the things we need to ask ourselves. But I want to leave Ecclesiastes 9:11. And this is what this portion of scripture says. The race is not to the swift, but nor
Those that
the
can endure.
bottles, but both to oh my God, the race is not for the swift, but those who can endure to the end. Christopher, flags, billboards, buntings, huge posters will not win an elections. It is what we are doing on the ground, knocking at doors, meeting one on one, and educating our people. So, my final call to Georgetown, my call to government elections. APNU is the better choice. And we look forward to your full support come June 12th, 2023. May God richly bless you and may
Thank you very
God
much.
bless our beautiful country, Guyana.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much, Annette Ferguson. And of course, Annette was speaking about the non-removal of garbage is as a direct result of the central government not giving the Georgetown City Council their subvention. And of course, I must take the opportunity to mention as a member of parliament that the parliament in 2023, this year at the recent budget, approved over $400 million in rates and taxes. all of those government buildings, schools, police stations, etc., have to pay their rates and taxes to the Georgetown City Council. To date, as we speak, the People's Progressive Party Civic has not paid those rates and taxes for those government ministries, government agencies, the schools, etc. And as such, that is what hinder the work of the Georgetown City Council. I note Ganesh Maipal has joined us late. It's 10:08. We should be out of program time, but Ganesh Maipal, quickly, I'll give you 3 minutes. Ganesh Maipal, Shadow Minister of Local Government.
Thank you, Chris. Right now, I am in blackout, so sorry for not having my camera on. I just want to make an appeal to the residents of Region Number 3 to pay attention to this local government elections. These are not elections that really matter to central government in the sense of the people who are holding central government office parading themselves around, not allowing the local leaders to make their pitch and convince their constituents. I want to say that persons must vote for people who they know can stand up and represent their interests. And if they vote for people who are aligned to the People's Progressive Party, their interests would not be represented because the PPP has a proven track record of whatever Papa Jagdeo says, that is what goes. So if you vote for people aligned to the People's Progressive Party, you can assure yourself of not getting what you rightly deserve. And don't believe that they are going to give you half and hold back half. The central government has an obligation to this entire country to provide development across all our regions. So that statement that if you vote for them, then you're going to get development is really an atrocious statement and an underlying statement that shows who they really are. They are not about one Guyana. They are not about developing across the country, and they're mere wolves in sheep's clothing. I want to say to the people of Parika, Mora Parika, that when you vote, I'm going to appeal to you to look for the sucker tree. The sucker tree is an independent group of people who are not aligned to the People's Progressive Party and have decided to run independent, and they have the full support of the APNU by their side. The secretary for Mora Parika. For the people in Hague, Blankenberg, and Den Anstel, they are to look for the light bulb. The light bulb is the symbol that an independent group has decided to run under, and they also enjoy the full support of the APNU. I want to also say for the people at Malgretoot Mayor Zorgan, which encompass Parfait Harmony, that they are to look for the eagle. The eagle is their symbol, and that is another independent group that enjoys the full support of the APNU. And the people at Two Flood Potentia, they are to look for the sugarcane tree. That is the symbol that those people who are also independent runners have had as their symbol. And these are independent groups in Region 3 that have chosen to run independent, that have chosen to say to the APNU that they will like to put their candidates and show their candidates off as persons who are independent. They're fair thinkers, they're independent thinkers, and they are prepared to hold the government accountable for their actions by running in their respective NDCs as independent of any big party, and basically to show themselves off as the persons with the ability to represent their respective constituencies. So I say to the people of Region 3, pay keen attention to your ballot paper. Just don't vote for the cup. Because if you vote for the cup and the people who are from the cup goes there, you can guarantee yourself no proper representation. Local government elections are all about independent, right thinking, forward thinking persons with good standing in society, standing up to the central government and making that representation and that pitch to central government to provide what is rightfully theirs, and that is proper development, proper accountability, and proper transparency. Reference to this cash grant, Chris, I want people to take note that the stores out there, All the various stores that you have to go buy school supplies from, they don't even have school supplies right now. There are no school supplies available right now for people to purchase. So that alone shows you that this government is using this cash grant distribution exercise as a tool for local government elections to get people's vote. But I keep saying over and over, Guyanese are not people that can be easily fooled. Guyanese are not people that can easily be hoodwinked. Guyanese are people that are sensible, people that are academically inclined, people that are knowledgeable of the system, and people who know when they are easily being fooled. The People's Progressive Party wants to fool us, but they will not get through with that. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ganesh Maipal. Quickly, we go to Jeremy Figueroa, who may mention that the noise in the market does not determine the sale. Figueroa, what is happening in Linden?
Yes, my brother. Linden is well prepared, well positioned to win all of the seats at the next upcoming local government election come Monday. We have the best candidates pound for pound when compared with the PDP's candidate. So we are very confident that the community, Linden and itself, will show the PDP that despite all the noise that they were making in the market, that don't determine the sale. And come local government elections on Monday, we are going to win outright the municipal control of the township. So we are appealing to all the residents of all of the respective constituencies, look at the candidates, make an intelligent decision. And once you venture towards making such an intelligent decision, pound for pound, we have the best candidates. These are people who are known in their constituencies. These are people who have known by the people of Linden who have been doing work in the respective communities throughout Linden. And we don't have to depend on our party bigwigs to come and tell a pitch to the residents, because these individuals that we have been doing that with our support, with our guidance, and we're confident that they will continue to represent the communities that the constituencies which they are going to be representing, and in total, the entire Linden community. So, Chris, like I said, Linden is going to win this election on the 12th of May. We may not have all of the resources, and many of the resources people are utilizing is the people's resource. And we have been advising our people, whatever it is that the government is dishing out, is offering, take it. It is your taxpayers' money. But when it comes to you going and cast a vote, make an intelligent decision. It is you alone who's going to be in that ballot. There's rumors about people saying that you have to take out a picture to show that you would have supported the PPP. Listen, this is your power. Your vote is your power. And don't give up your power for no $40,000. Don't give up your power for no cash grant. That is actually yours. So we are confident, as I indicated, that Linden people are smart and intelligent. We are a resilient people. We have gone through the work, and we are saying that we have demonstrated with the little that was provided, we were able to manage this township in a way that the people were satisfied to the extent that they supported us throughout the 23 years while the PPP was in power. 3 years that the PPP have been in power since 2020, and we have demonstrated that with the little that we have, we were able to do much. And the people that we have are bringing fresh ideas, new ideas to the township, and I believe once they are given the support of the people of Linden, they will do exceedingly well. And these ideas definitely will generate funds, so we won't have to be dependent on government subvention. So, Linden, you have heard the positions articulated by the candidates throughout the respective constituencies, and I'm confident that when E-Day comes, you will do the right thing. You will vote for all of the candidates that represent the APMU come E-Day. So, Chris, Linden got this, and Linden got the people's vote. I'm confident.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, German Figueroa. Thank you much. Ganesh Mai Paul, Amanza Walton Desir, Don Hastings Williams, Annette Ferguson Collins, Sherwin Holder, and Randolph Critchlow, and Amanza Walton Desir for joining me on tonight's program. And of course, this program comes to you with the compliments of Mark Benchcup. And of course, it is being live streamed on 107.1 FM. We will be back with you in the nights leading into Elections Day. And of course, on Elections Day, there will be full coverage by the APNU on all of our pages and platforms. Once again, on Monday, June the 12th, is local government elections in Guyana. The People's Progressive Party Civic have their eyes on the three main municipalities, Georgetown, New Amsterdam, and Linden. And of course, it has nothing to do because the People's Progressive Party Civic has suddenly waken up and fell in love with these municipalities. It has everything to do with economics. It has everything to do to dispossess people of their properties, particularly those in Georgetown, because the People's Progressive Party Civic has their friends and family who are waiting to purchase those very same properties in these municipalities. My name is Christopher Jones. Thanking you very much for joining us on tonight's program. And of course, we do invite you to be part of the various public meetings that are going to be had throughout the length and breadth of the country. Belladrum, your public meeting is going to be Friday in the village of Belladrum on the public road. New Amsterdam is slated to have their final rally on Friday as well. And of course, those information can be found on the APNU pages in terms of the various meetings. Once again, thank you very much for being part of tonight's program. Until we meet again, have a pleasant rest of the evening. Goodbye for now.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata, Francis C. Vietnam. And since 1965, I become a voter. And I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.
Local government elections on June 12th are your chance to shape the future of your community. By voting APNU, you're choosing the party that will serve your best interests. APNU's vision for a stronger and more inclusive Guyana aligns with your aspirations. Together, we can build a prosperous and inclusive Guyana.
Local government elections are on June 12th, and it is time to make a decision. Vote APNU for the progress and development of your community. By supporting the APNU, you are choosing representatives who are dedicated to uplift your lives and better your community. Together, we can create an inclusive and prosperous Guyana.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata, Francis C. Vietnam. And since 1965, I become a voter. And I always place my X next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.
Local government elections on June 12th are your chance to shape the future of your community. By voting APNU, you're choosing the party that will serve your best interests. APNU's vision for a stronger and more inclusive Guyana aligns with your aspirations. Together, we can build a prosperous and inclusive Guyana.
This is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington law firm located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.